industrial policies, renewable energy, IT, GCCs, data center, cloud, building on the vision of a tech-driven Andhra. If you could elaborate a little bit about that, because it's not, I think it's one of the few and unique propositions from a state. So if you could just elaborate on that a bit.
No, the Honorable Prime Minister pre-election did talk about Vikasit Bharat. And taking a leaf from that book, we said, let's now focus on Vikasit Andhra Pradesh. And we broadly laid out the vision of what we want to achieve. And then we are now going back to our electorate and asking feedback on what we should do. So it's a people-led movement, number one. Number two, as a state, taking from my first question, as a state, we believe in the power of ecosystems. So if you look at the state of Andhra Pradesh, we are peculiarly a long state. We have the second longest coastline. So each district is a geography for administration in India. Each district, we have specific focus areas. So if you take the southern bit, we want to focus on automotive manufacturing in one district. Renewable energy is a big thrust area. It's not just about solar, wind, it's about the pump storage projects. Close to 72 gigawatts is going to get built out in the next 5 years. Then you have the two other districts which are focused on electronics manufacturing, which is the Chittoor and Kadapa district. So like this, we have very district-specific focus areas. So coming to north of our state, we're going to focus on data centers, big data, the entire chem and pharma hub. So there's a lot of specific focus areas, and then we go back and say, what should each department do in order to achieve this vision? So for me, it's very clear that I have training institutes in the government. The ITIs, polytechnics. So we're going to train manpower for tomorrow. So let's talk about all the green jobs we can create in one district. All the civil aviation jobs we can create out of one district. So that gives a lot of clarity, alignment for the state government on what we should go out achieving. And apart from that, Vikasit Andhra Pradesh, which is Swarna Andhra Pradesh that we have. Swarna Andhra Pradesh translates to Golden Andhra Pradesh. We are now working backwards of saying that, okay, if we need to achieve this kind of per capita income, then how do we go about achieving it? So which department should do what, and we're going to measure ourselves on a monthly basis, like how all of you do your business. Even the state is going to do this. On a monthly basis, we're going to measure it. And the second part is, in this journey, we don't want anyone left behind. So we are creating a family, a report card of sorts, and saying what are the project or practice we can give to that family to pull them out of the cycle of poverty. So it's no longer about wealth creation alone, but how do you ensure that even people below the poverty line can be given a handout and to just pull them out of the cycle of poverty. And that's something that I think is going to be very unique to the state, and we're going to launch this in the next 3 months.
Excellent, congratulations. To link to that is another pioneering effort in this very short period since the election, which is the skill census. We haven't heard of this widely, but when I was doing the research, I sort of came across this, which is very unique, again, to Andhra, which is basically creation of population scale digital public infrastructure for skilling and employment. It reflects the forward-looking vision of the Honorable Prime Minister, Chief Minister to sort of build this capacity. First, do a census, and then could you elaborate on that a little bit? Another pioneering concept?
The skill census that we're doing is one of its kind in India, I think one of its kind in the world.
Probably the first time.
It's a massive effort. We just started the pilot in my own constituency where I got elected. And the idea here is we're going to go door to door. And then we're going to triangulate data from multiple data sets. So apart from the household data, the education data, we want to understand what is a basic skill set. And then come back and see what kind of skill interventions we can do based on the market demand. So think about industry from one side, the youth on one side, and government has a platform. And then skill up it's going to be a journey. It's not a destination. It's not a one-off effort as far as our state is concerned. So we know where the industry is moving, and we want to learn from that, from all of you. And then we want to work backwards on saying, to this family, what can we do? What is the skill intervention that we can do? So it's very, very micro-targeting that we're going to now do. And I believe that will ensure that we deliver on the first promise in a manifesto, which is to create 2 million jobs in 5 years as a state. And we are the only political party to actually make that bold statement before an election.
Wow. You also spoke about building specialist areas and districts for which you could build certain talent or sectors that could come out of that. Now, Visakhapatnam as an IT destination is another idea that is being talked about. We realized that the submarine cables would probably be landed there, so great connectivity could happen. The Honorable Chief Minister's contributions in building Hyderabad, that was, by the way, spoken widely at the board meeting this morning, and this incredible infrastructure, and his contribution to that is legendary. Obviously, everybody knows that. Could you also elaborate a little bit on Vizag and how, Visakhapatnam, and how that will transform itself? What is the vision that you have as an IT knowledge hub?
And fundamentally, I think all of us have to accept one thing, which is the Telugu people, the people from both Andhra and Telangana play a very important role in the IT sector. And all this points back to the reforms that Mr. Naidu did in his first term as Chief Minister, which is to get a lot of investments in education. So we had a lot of engineering colleges come up. So we have amazing talent. And this talent has gone across the globe. And taking a leaf out of that, what we are looking at as Visakhapatnam is, why can't we ride the wave of big data and the AI ML? So like when you look at Hyderabad, it was all the Y2K boom. So we have a next frontier that we can now do. And that's where I believe that Visakhapatnam can play a very important role. So we have renewable power. It's a beautiful location. So I keep jokingly saying, if Bangalore were to marry Goa and have a baby, that would be Visakhapatnam. It's gorgeous. It's absolutely gorgeous. So it's a great location. Amazing manpower, and we have a progressive government, a government which is not just talking about ease of doing business, but speed of doing business. Because though lot other states have done on ease, but speed is the biggest challenge because investments have just gone up. And even a month, 2-month delay throws your entire business plan out of whack. So we understand that and we want to deliver on the speed of business promise. So Visakhapatnam is going to be a focus from an IT perspective, our chemical, pharma perspective, and even medical devices manufacturing. So it's going to be a hub. We're going to do the entire ecosystem. All the ITIs, the polytechnics, all the engineering colleges there are going to focus on creating world-class curriculum and delivering on that promise.
I'm going to turn to a bit of a sobering topic, something that you faced immediately after the government took over, which is this devastating and the floods that hit the state. I think in a space of 2 or 3 days, centers, including urban centers, were deep underwater. The response, what I learned secondhand, of course, of the Honorable Chief Minister himself, the bureaucracy, parking their vehicles and buses next to that station, having meetings there. Some of the officers told me that the Honorable Chief Minister would roll up his trousers and be in the flood water often, almost every day. I don't think we've seen that kind of response anywhere. Plus the use of technology, not just the emotional touch, but also the use of drones, AI, big data, using drones to deliver food packets on buildings and then saying we can't do enough because we can only do one building at a time, and up to 40 kgs of delivery on a drone. That was remarkable. All of this coming together for disaster management, again, something we've never seen in India at this scale. One of the officers told me that he knew in which lane how many refrigerators had been spoiled because of flood, and then worked with the private sector to kind of have that fixed. So could you talk a little bit this, I know it's a disaster, it's a terrible human tragedy, but also incredible opportunity to learn about disaster management using technology and human touch in equal measure.
The flood that we had recently was 1 in 248 years event. And as things are changing and we're going to have once in a century events happening more often. So as a state, we understand that. But this flood definitely caught us off guard. It was a flash flood. In greater parts of the city, we had more than 6 foot water. And it was the first time that we had to handle floods. As a state, we've handled cyclones and we have expertise in that. But then Mr. Naidu, being Mr. Naidu, said, why can't we use drones for delivery? And I remember quite a few of the operators saying that's not possible. I mean, we've used it for agriculture purpose. Being an Indian, we call the Jugaad model. We had a basket fitted, let's say, let's try it. And success, we actually managed to deliver food. I think I wouldn't say that it was the best model. I think it was a great beginning because we didn't have enough of drones. So I wish I had 2,000 drones. Then I could have delivered breakfast, lunch and dinner to every house. But I just had about 40 drones. And with that 40 drones, we did do a pilot. And I think it clearly gave us a direction of what India can do. And we're seeing other nations use drones to kill people, but I think India shows the way of how we can use drones in terms of relief and rehabilitation. So I think there's a lot of work that we've done there. Saying that, the second bit was the entire rehabilitation. So relief was done. How do you pay money? How do you rehabilitate people? Again, we put all the models out. We had a sandbox. All the images of the water from CCTV, from our drone footage was put out there. We had all the education institutions across the country and in Andhra Pradesh take a look at it, give us suggestions, start working on the models to tell us at what day, what level of water was in which area. So based on the amount of water outflow to the terrain, to where it's getting discharged, we could understand that better. So our rehabilitation, the money we were giving, it was amazing. We did this entire thing. 15 days after flood water receded, we doled out the money. And it was all done through online. Online because thanks to Aadhaar, every bank account is connected. So we were able to marry technology in that sense much better. But saying that, I think it's very important to go back to the field. And that's something that Mr. Naidu used to do every day in the evening. So he would go out for 4 hours, waist deep water, jump in, understand, did things get delivered or not? Then feedback would come to us. I was manning the control room. So he would say, okay, food didn't get delivered in this house on this lane. And here's the lat long, and then we had to send the food. So I think that's always required. I think you need a feedback loop. The human loop is always required on how much of a technology you might have. So I believe we have a model to handle such crisis, not only for Andhra, but for the nation. And one task we have taken up as a state is we'll get about 2,000 drones in the agriculture sector. A lot of the spraying, the pesticides and so on and so forth actually can be done using drones. And then during an emergency, we can pull it out and use it for relief activities. So I think it's a great learning experience. And as a country and as a nation, we're just learning on how can we use this technology far better.
I just want to stop here for a moment and just applaud the incredible work that the government and the next to a brighter subject, 𝗟𝗢𝗞𝗘𝗦𝗦 project, something that I know the Honorable Prime Minister, Chief Minister is very, very passionate about. It could be, or should be, India's first ground-up AI capital, full of technology, built on the best plans, sustainable, everything that we can dream of. So if you could tell us a little bit about the vision behind the 𝗟𝗢𝗞𝗘 project, also called 𝗟𝗢𝗞𝗘𝗦𝗑.AI, which is a very interesting subtitle for a capital city. How is it going and what is the vision? Because investors would really like to understand that. It'll be a state, a capital that will compete with several very important capitals in the south.
With other capitals in the world. We're going to compete with other capitals in the world. Right. And that's our aspiration as a state. So as a state, we got bifurcated in the year 2014. So we are the new state, capitalist state. We started our journey from scratch. And Mr. Naidu is known for building cities ground up. An example of that is Cyberabad. So Hyderabad was built by the Nizam, Secunderabad by the British, and Cyberabad by Mr. Naidu. He has a great contribution in that. So he's known for it, and he brought the same vision, but he said, let's do this from scratch, and a completely green field. And the beauty of this project is not just the technology bit, but the human angle, where not even an acre was owned by the government, it was owned by the farmers. So we pooled the land from the farmers, where developed land went back to the farmers. So how do you make farmers part of this growth, the economic growth that we're going to deliver? So and that's very unique in that sense. And we started off with that project. It is going to be India's world-class city. It's going to be all green powered. It's a city that's going to have district cooling system, like how we have power, water coming and gas coming home. You'll actually have air conditioning coming as service. So we're looking at various efficient models that have been deployed across the world that can enable us to leapfrog as a city. That's one part. The second part comes to the entire knowledge bit. If you look at it, we already have India's premier institutes like SRM, VIT, already having campuses there, and they're creating world-class students, faculty coming out of that area, and more campuses are going to come. So that's where the entire knowledge economy is going to get kickstarted. And saying that, as a government, we are very passionate about real-time governance. We did this in the past between 14 and 19. But now things have changed. Now government can be in your phone. So why should you go to office? And single question is that. So when you push a button, you're able to watch a movie. When you push a button, you're able to get a cab or groceries or lunch or dinner. Why can't government be that responsive? And that's a straight question that I get asked by the Honorable Chief Minister. Saying that phase one, we're working with various platforms, and the phase one, we intend to deliver about close to 100 government services via any platform to your phone, number one. Number two, we want to use AI, and we are in talks, we are actually piloting it. And there are amazing examples of how AI can sort of improve the efficiency of government delivery. And the various instances where I believe we could have done much better than we did in the past. So you'll see in the next 100 days AI being deployed in governance and also helping ministers, bureaucrats take decisions. So we already started this project where we have a digital twin for every minister. And based on the entire social listening, based on the feedback from various sources, it would advise that these are probably the 5 areas you want to pay attention in this week. So we're giving these insights to the ministers, and then we have this entire feedback mechanism. We understand sentiment across various ministries far better today. So 100 days from now, I think I'll be able to present it actually in front of everyone. And then we want to then go down, have a digital twin for every member of Legislative Assembly, so they can understand better what are the pain points, what are the things that we need to now focus on.